The call from the stars. The message arrived on all frequencies, desperate and unrelenting. It bypassed the normal diplomatic channels, overrode safety protocols, and blared through every receiver in Earth's deep space monitoring network. Commander Sarah Chen was finishing her night shift at Arcturus Station when every console in the command center lit up simultaneously. "What the hell?" she muttered, coffee splashing onto her uniform as the emergency alert klaxons roared to life. The message repeated itself in Universal Galactic Standard, a communication protocol that hadn't been used in official capacity for nearly a century. To the humans of Earth, the Deathworlders we once feared. This is High Counselor Xerax of the Velari Confederation. Our civilization faces extinction. An enemy beyond comprehension approaches. We have tried negotiation. We have tried surrender. We have tried hiding. Nothing works. Only your battle-hardened ships and warriors, forged on your cruel planet, can save us now. We beg for your help. Though we once called you monsters, please respond. Chen replayed the message 3 times, her face growing paler with each repetition. The Velari were among the oldest spacefaring civilizations in the known galaxy. They had been the first to encounter humanity nearly 2 centuries ago, and the first to designate Earth as a Deathworld, a planet so inherently hostile that it produced naturally dangerous species. The Velari, with their crystalline bodies and telepathic abilities, had evolved on a paradise world with no predators, no natural disasters, and minimal environmental stress. When they discovered humans, mammals that could survive radiation levels that would shatter Velari bodies, withstand temperature variations that would cause Velari to explode, and endure physical trauma that would kill any other known sentient species, they had been horrified. Relations had been civil but distant ever since. The Velari helped humanity enter the galactic community but kept their distance, treating humans like unexploded ordnance, dangerous but potentially useful if handled correctly. And now they were begging for help. Within 6 hours, the United Earth Security Council had convened in Geneva. The holographic displays showed the message playing on a loop as representatives from every human colony and station joined the emergency session. Admiral Elena Reyes, commander of Earth's First Fleet, stood before the assembled dignitaries, her decorated uniform gleaming under the harsh lights. The long-range scanners confirm unusual activity in Velari space, she stated, manipulating the holographic display to show a region of space where several star systems were simply dark. 3 systems near their home cluster have gone completely silent in the past month. No communications, no energy signatures. It's as if they were erased from existence. This could be an elaborate trap, Counselor Mbiki said, his voice stern. The Velari have avoided direct contact with us for generations. Why would they suddenly need our most lethal warships? General Isaac Kaufman of Military Intelligence stepped forward. Our analysis indicates the message is authentic. Whatever the Velari are facing, it terrifies them enough to call on us. The very species they've been politely avoiding since first contact. Council President Amara Okafor tapped her finger thoughtfully. They're not asking for our diplomats or our scientists. They're asking specifically for our warships. A heavy silence fell over the chamber. The Velari helped us when we first reached the stars, Admiral Rice said finally. They ensured other species didn't try to colonize or exploit Earth while we were developing our technology. We owe them this much. Okafor looked around the chamber. This is not a decision to make lightly. If we send our fleet, we risk our own security. If we don't, we may watch as an ally falls and then face whatever destroyed them alone. The UEA's Thunderchild is ready, Rise continued, along with the Leonidas, Boudica, Shaka, and Yamamoto, our newest Nemesis-class destroyers. Ships built specifically for combat scenarios we hoped would never materialize. Ships designed for horrors we prayed we'd never face, Okafor added quietly. As the council debated, Rice studied the message again. The Velari, with all their advanced technology and peaceful alliances, were terrified. What could frighten a species that had mastered interstellar travel thousands of years before humans had invented the wheel? Whatever it was, humanity was about to find out. "I vote we respond," Rais said firmly. "And we bring our most lethal ships." 3 days later, Captain Alina Rais stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderchild, the most advanced warship humanity had ever constructed. Behind her, 4 sister ships moved in perfect formation, their hulls black as the void itself, bristling with weapon systems that had never been used outside of testing ranges. "Status report," she ordered, her voice carrying across the bridge. "All ships reporting ready, Captain," her XO, Commander David Okoro, replied. "No damage from the jump. Weapons and shields at full capacity." Rais nodded. "Open a channel to the Velari Confederation." The main screen flickered, and then a face appeared. The Velari was tall and slender, with translucent crystalline skin that seemed to glow from within. Large, faceted eyes widened at the sight of the human bridge crew. "I am High Counselor Zirax of the Velari Confederation," the alien said, their melodic voice distorted by obvious stress. You actually came." "Captain Alina Rais of the Terran Defense Fleet," Rais replied. "We received your distress call. The 1st Fleet Rapid Response Division is at your disposal." Zirax's crystalline skin pulsed with what might have been relief. "We must meet immediately. Our time grows short." The flagship shuttle carried Rais, Okoro, and intelligence officer Maya Hassan down to the Velari capital city. It was a place of soaring crystalline towers and delicate bridges, all shimmering with the same inner light as its people. But signs of panic were everywhere. Streets nearly empty, defensive barriers erected around key buildings. The beauty of the place was marred by fear. In the High Council chamber, a dozen Velari waited. They all had the same expression when the humans entered, a mixture of terror and desperate hope. "You brought actual warships," one said, voice trembling. Okoro raised an eyebrow. "That's what you asked for, isn't it?" High Counselor Zirax stepped forward. "Please forgive our reaction. We have monitored your species from a distance. We knew you had military vessels, but the scale of your weapons..." The counselor trailed off. "Perhaps you should tell us what we're facing," Rais suggested. The largest display in the chamber activated, showing a swirling darkness moving through space. It wasn't like any spaceship or natural phenomenon the humans had ever seen. It seemed to bend light around it, to distort reality itself. "We call them the Void Harbingers," Zirax explained. "They appeared 3 months ago at the edge of known space. At first, we thought they were spatial anomalies. Then they consumed their first star system." The display showed the darkness enveloping a planet. The humans watched in silence as the world simply disappeared. "They're not just destroying worlds," another Velari said. "They're consuming them and everything on them, including consciousness itself." Hassan leaned forward. "What do you mean, consciousness?" "The Harbingers are alive in a way we cannot comprehend," Zirax said. "They feed on sentient minds. We attempted communication, offering peace. They absorbed our ambassadors. We tried to fight with our scientific vessels. They consumed them too." Rais exchanged glances with her officers. "Why call us?" Okoro asked bluntly. "Why Earth?" The Velari Council members looked at each other, seeming embarrassed. Zirax spoke softly. "Because you are Deathworlders. Your species evolved on a planet that tried to kill you every day. Your bodies are built to withstand forces that would crush us. Your minds are hardened against traumas that would break our sanity." An older Velari stepped forward. "We have always feared what humans might become if you turned your evolutionary advantages toward violence. Now we hope those same advantages might save us all." Rais took a deep breath. The Velari were admitting that humanity's perceived savagery might be their only hope. "The Harbingers are approaching your core worlds," she said. "How much time do we have?" "Days," Zirax replied. "Perhaps only hours." Rais straightened her back. "Then we better get started. I need all the data you have on these things. Their movements, weaknesses, anything that might help us fight them. As the Villari hurried to comply, their graceful forms moving with new urgency, Okoro leaned close to Reyes. "Captain, we've never faced anything like this." "No," Reyes agreed, "but we've trained for the unknown. And it seems our reputation precedes us." She looked at the fearful Villari. "Let's hope we live up to it." Predators unleashed. Commander Maya Hassan pored over the data the Villari had provided, her eyes burning from hours of analysis. Around her, the war room they'd established aboard the Thunderchild buzzed with activity as human officers and Villari scientists worked side by side. "These void harbingers defy conventional physics," she announced, drawing everyone's attention to the central holodisplay. "They're not ships or creatures in any sense we understand. They're more like tears in reality that have gained sentience." Captain Rice studied the swirling patterns of darkness. "Can they be killed?" "Unknown," Hassan replied. "But the Villari observations suggest they have some form of centralized consciousness. When they consume a world, they seem to pause, as if digesting." Lieutenant Commander Kai Rodriguez, the fleet's tactical officer, stepped forward. "We need direct observation. Sensor readings aren't enough." "I agree," Rice said, "but any ship that gets close might not return." "I'll go," Rodriguez volunteered immediately. "The Phantom is designed for stealth reconnaissance, small enough to avoid detection, fast enough to run if spotted." The Villari scientists looked doubtful. "Your craft would still need to get very close," one said. "The Harbingers sense consciousness. They hunt thinking minds." Rodriguez smiled grimly. "Then it's a good thing humans are stubborn. My team and I volunteer for this mission, Captain." Reyes studied Rodriguez for a long moment, then nodded. "Prepare your ship. You leave in 1 hour." As Rodriguez and his team readied their small stealth craft in the Thunderchild's hangar bay, Hassan approached with data tablets. "Everything we have on the Harbinger's movement patterns," she explained. "They don't travel in straight lines. They seem drawn to populated worlds. Like predators following a scent," Rodriguez observed, taking the tablets. "Exactly," Hassan nodded, then added quietly, "The Villari craft that tried to observe them, none returned." Rodriguez's expression didn't change. First time for everything. The Phantom departed with little fanfare, a sleek black shadow against the stars. Its specialized engines left minimal energy signatures, its hull designed to absorb rather than reflect. Inside, Rodriguez and 3 other scouts watched their instruments carefully as they approached the last known position of a void harbinger. "Nothing on scanners yet," reported Specialist Sharma, monitoring the sensors. "Wait, energy readings at extreme range. Fluctuating patterns, nothing like standard radiation profiles." "Take us closer," Rodriguez ordered, "but keep stealth systems at maximum." The craft edged forward through the emptiness of space. Ahead, stars seemed to twist and bend, as if something was distorting the very fabric of reality. "Visual contact," Sharma said, voice tight with tension. On their main screen, a churning darkness appeared, not solid like a ship or asteroid, not gaseous like a nebula. It shifted and moved with unsettling purpose. "Record everything," Rodriguez ordered. "Every frequency, every energy pattern." The team worked in focused silence as their instruments captured data. The Harbinger grew larger on their screens, revealing more of its bizarre nature. "Sir," Specialist Chen whispered, "I'm detecting fragments in its outer layers." Rodriguez looked at the enhanced image. What had appeared as random patterns in the darkness were actually pieces of something, metal perhaps or crystal. "Zoom in," he ordered. The image magnified, and everyone on the small bridge fell silent. Those weren't random fragments. They were pieces of ships. Villari vessels, broken and somehow suspended in the darkness, slowly being pulled inward. "It's not just destroying them," Rodriguez realized. "It's absorbing them, breaking them down." Chen's console suddenly blared an alarm. "Energy spike. It's changing direction. Rodriguez felt cold dread in his stomach. Which way? Toward us. It's coming toward us. Full power to engines, Rodriguez ordered. Get us out of here now. The Phantom shuddered as its engines pushed to maximum output. Behind them, the darkness seemed to stretch, reaching for them like hungry fingers. It senses us, Chen said, voice shaking. How can it sense us? We're running silent. Rodriguez gripped his seat as the craft accelerated. The Velari were right. It hunts consciousness itself. The craft raced through space, the darkness following with impossible speed. For a terrible moment, Rodriguez thought they wouldn't make it. Then the Phantom's emergency drives kicked in, pushing them beyond safe velocity. The darkness fell behind, unable to match their desperate pace. We're clear, Sharma announced, sweat beading on her forehead. Came for, and more. As the craft sped away, Rodriguez reviewed the data they'd collected. What he saw made his blood run cold. The Void Harbinger wasn't simply destroying worlds, it was consuming them piece by piece, mind by mind. And now it knew humans had arrived. It's not just alive, it's hungry, Rodriguez reported in the war room after their return. The reconnaissance team had returned shaken but alive, with data that confirmed their worst fears. Captain Rice studied the holographic display, showing the Harbinger's structure based on their findings. Fragments of ships and even planets floated in its outer layers, slowly being pulled inward to some unseen center. It doesn't just destroy, Rodriguez continued. It consumes, breaks things down and absorbs them, including minds. Lieutenant Hassan stepped forward. She had been analyzing the data since the scouts returned. The energy patterns are unlike anything in our database, but there's something interesting here. She manipulated the display, highlighting energy waves flowing through the Harbinger. It reacted when it sensed the Phantom, but not immediately. There was a delay. And your stealth craft was able to outrun it, despite its obvious power, Rice observed. Hassan nodded. I think the Harbingers are used to hunting species like the Velari. Their neural patterns, their technology, all familiar prey. But humans, we're different. Our brains work differently, Rice finished. Our technology is built on different principles. Exactly, Hassan said. We confused it just long enough for the Phantom to escape. Rice turned to the Velari representatives, who had been watching in silence. How close are they now? High Counselor Zirax looked grim. Less than 12 hours from our outermost colony. 24 from our homeworld. Commander Okoro spoke up. Our weapons are powerful, but they're designed to fight ships and planetary defenses. This thing, it's like fighting a storm. The room fell silent. The Harbingers seemed unstoppable, too powerful, too alien to fight with conventional means. Then Lieutenant Rodriguez cleared his throat. What if we don't fight it directly? What if we use Earth's predatory instincts against it? All eyes turned to him. Explain, Rice ordered. Rodriguez pointed to the display again. A Harbinger hunts consciousness. It's drawn to it like a predator to prey. So what if we give it prey it can't resist? What if we set a trap? What kind of trap? Hassan asked. We use our ships as bait, Rodriguez said. But we modify them to broadcast amplify human neural patterns, the very thing that confused it during our reconnaissance. The Velari looked horrified. You would sacrifice your ships. Your people? Rodriguez shook his head. Not sacrifice. Humans have always been good at one thing, turning the tables on predators, becoming the hunters instead of the hunted. He outlined his plan. Several human ships would position themselves near a dead star system, broadcasting modified neural patterns designed to attract the Harbingers. Meanwhile, the remaining ships would prepare a special weapon, a massive consciousness disruption field based on Earth's most chaotic electromagnetic patterns. When the Harbinger moves to consume the bait ships, we hit it with the disruption field, Rodriguez explained. Based on how it reacted to the Phantom, I believe it will be vulnerable. It's never encountered minds like ours before. The Velari representatives exchanged worried glances. "This plan seems extremely dangerous," Zurak said. "The ships acting as bait would be at tremendous risk." "All of your worlds are at risk," Rhys countered. "Sometimes the only way to fight a predator is to act like one yourself." Okoro studied the tactical display. "The Thunderchild has the strongest shields. It should be the primary bait." Rhys nodded. "I'll command it personally." "Captain," Okoro protested, "you don't need to." "This is my operation," Rhys said firmly. "I won't ask my people to take risks I won't take myself." The room fell silent again, but this time the silence had a different quality. There was respect in the eyes of the humans, and something like awe in the faceted eyes of the Velari. 20 hours later, the UES Thunderchild drifted alone in empty space, its massive engines silent, its weapon systems powered down. Only its shields and a specially modified communication array remained active, broadcasting human neural patterns at maximum intensity. "Anything on sensors?" Rhys asked, her voice steady despite the tension evident on the bridge. "Nothing yet, Captain," the sensor officer replied. "Wait. Energy fluctuations at extreme range. It's coming." Rhys tapped her comm. "All hands, this is the captain." Battle stations. Throughout the massive ship, crew members moved to their positions. They were the best Earth had to offer, trained for combat in the void. But none of them had ever faced anything like this. "Visual contact," the sensor officer announced. On the main screen, a swirling mass of darkness appeared, moving toward them with deliberate purpose. "It took the bait," Rhys said quietly. "Maintain position. Let it come to us." The darkness grew larger on their screens, stars bending around its edges as it approached. "Distance, 1,000,000 kilometers in closing," the tactical officer reported. Rhys opened a secure channel. "All ships, this is Thunderchild. The target has engaged. Prepare disruption field on my mark." Hidden in the shadow of a dead moon, the remaining 4 ships of the fleet waited, their specialized weapons primed and ready. 800,000 kilometers. The tactical officer continued the countdown. 600,000. The darkness seemed to accelerate, extending tendrils toward the Thunderchild, as if reaching hungry fingers toward food. 400,000. "Stand by disruption field," Rhys ordered, her knuckles white as she gripped the arms of her command chair. 200,000. "Captain, it's moving faster than predicted." The ship shuddered as the first tendrils of darkness brushed against its shields. "Now," Rhys shouted, "activate disruption field." From their hiding places, the 4 warships emerged, their specialized emitters unleashing waves of chaotic energy patterns based on human neural activity, but amplified 1,000-fold. The waves struck the darkness from all sides, creating a cage of conflicting consciousness. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The darkness writhed and contracted, its tendrils pulling back from the Thunderchild as if burned. "It's working," the tactical officer exclaimed. "Full power to engines," Rhys ordered. "Get us clear while it's disoriented." The Thunderchild's massive engines roared to life, propelling the ship away from the thrashing darkness. "Maintain disruption field," Rhys commanded the fleet. "Focus all beams on its center mass." The combined energy of the 5 warships converged on the Harbinger, driving it into greater and greater convulsions. For a moment, it seemed to stabilize, adapting to the assault. "It's learning," Hassan warned from her station. "The disruption is becoming less effective." Rhys made a split-second decision. All ships increase disruption field to maximum power. Divert energy from life support if necessary. "Captain," the engineering officer protested. "At that level, the emitters will burn out in minutes." "We only need minutes," Rhys replied. "Do it." The disruption field intensified, the chaotic patterns of human consciousness amplified beyond safe levels. Throughout the ships, systems flickered as power was redirected. At the center of the converging beams, the darkness began to collapse in on itself, folding and twisting in ways that defied physics. "What's happening?" Okoro asked, staring at the readings. "I think," Hassan began, her voice filled with wonder. "I think we're overloading its ability to process consciousness. It's like feeding a predator poison disguised as food." The darkness contracted further, pulling its tendrils back, condensing into a tight, swirling mass. "Emitters at critical levels," the engineering officer warned. 30 seconds to failure. "Hold steady," Reyes ordered. "Just a little longer." The darkness pulsed once, twice, and then, with a silent flash that momentarily blinded their sensors, it collapsed into nothingness. "Target destroyed." The tactical officer's statement came out as a question. "Confirmed," Hassan reported after a moment, her voice hushed. "No energy signatures remaining." "It's gone." A cheer erupted on the bridge, quickly spreading throughout the ship and across the fleet. But Reyes remained silent, staring at the empty space where the Harbinger had been. "Captain." Okoro approached her. "We did it." "One of them," Reyes corrected quietly. "We destroyed one. How many more are out there?" 3 days later, Captain Reyes stood in the great hall of the Velari capital, accepting the highest honor their civilization could bestow. Around her, the crystalline beings glowed with renewed hope. "You have saved not just our worlds, but perhaps the entire galaxy," High Counselor Zirax declared. "The Harbingers have retreated from our space. Your strategy has been shared with all civilizations. For the first time, we have a weapon against them." Reyes accepted the honor with a nod. "My crew deserves the credit. They executed a dangerous plan perfectly." "Perhaps," Zirax acknowledged, "but it was a human plan. Only Deathworlders could have conceived of turning a predator's hunger against itself." Later, as Reyes prepared to return to her ship, Zirax approached her privately. "We were wrong about humans," the High Counselor admitted. "We saw your evolutionary adaptations as making you dangerous. Potential monsters. We failed to see that those same adaptations made you uniquely qualified to protect life in this galaxy." Reyes smiled slightly. "On Earth, the most dangerous predators often become the most dedicated protectors. Wolves became dogs that guard our homes. We turned our predatory instincts toward defending those we care about." Zirax's crystalline form shimmered with understanding. "And now, the galaxy is under your protection." "Not just ours," Reyes corrected. "We'll face the Harbingers together, combining your knowledge with our unique perspective." As Reyes departed, returning to the Thunderchild's shuttle, she looked back at the beautiful crystalline city, now free from the shadow of extinction. The Velari had called humans monsters, Deathworlders, savages. Now they called them saviors. And somewhere in the dark between the stars, more Harbingers waited. But for the first time, they would face an enemy they couldn't simply consume, an enemy forged in the crucible of a death world, with the will to fight and the predatory instinct to win. The hunters had become the hunted.